remember Jesus Christ. Here we have an early kerygma, risen from the dead. The centrality of that preaching. Descended from David. The preaching always started in the context well known. As preached in my gospel. Now he's insisting to his dear beloved Timothy, whom he has ordained bishop for Ephesus, that he is to carry on what has been handed to him. Guard the deposit. We receive our faith, we receive power, we receive truth, we receive the proclamation that he is to maintain all in their integrity. He himself cannot do an awful lot. We have in the old writing added to these manuscripts that this second epistle to Timothy was written by St. Paul from Rome to Timothy at Ephesus, of whom he is bishop. These are ancient writings and traditions come down to us. So his days are numbered. And therefore he says that he is in chains for the gospel. But it goes on to say that the word of God is not fettered, is not enchained. And he wants this be proclaimed, but properly. And how is properly? Well, first of all, we have this link with the tradition received and proclaimed also in very early hymnology, because he quotes here an early hymn. And these early hymns sometimes have found their way back into liturgy in our day, since the renewal, with the last of the canticles of the day, that is, the New Testament canticle at Vespers. The saying is true. There is hanging on what is already used. The saying is sure. If we have died with him, we shall also live with him. Now here we have the parallelism coming in. If we endure, we shall also reign with him. He is in prison. If we deny him, he also will deny us. Now they were invited to deny, and that still happens in our time, directly and indirectly. If we are faithless, he remains faithful. He cannot deny himself. And then this powerful invitation which comes across the centuries and lands also in our court. Remind them of this and charge them before the Lord to avoid disputing about words which does no good. That's familiar, isn't it? Empty words, wrangling, but only ruins the hearers. Aggressive tones do not help the hearers. The message of the Lord is peace, and not only the word, but the atmosphere surrounding it must be transmitted. Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a workman, so we can be a workman of the word, a workman who has no need to be ashamed, proclaiming with courage, force. He is young, and he is warned elsewhere not to be ashamed and not to be discouraged by his youth. Rightly handling, notice, rightly handling the word of truth. So here we have two things in juxtaposition. The word itself, it has to be true, the truth, and the handling thereof. It has to be rightly handled. Now that applies to any proclamation of the truth. There is a big difference between the person who reads a well-prepared sermon, but as he would do a lecture, and one who has received and meditated the word, but then engages first and foremost with the hearer. looks straight at the hearer, addresses the hearer from his own heart to the hearer's own heart, and proclaims the same truth, but in a way that it reaches him without the barrier of a piece of paper. But the eye, looking at the eye, the soul passing into the soul, the word energized, reverberating in the heart, which then has a twofold implosion, one from the force of the truth and the other from the force of the soul. It matters a lot, for the same truth is proclaimed in each case, but the effect is very different. Avoid such godless chatter. So we do well to be aware of that in our time. There is an awful lot of cyber chatter, and also a bad handling of the word. The gospel is the answer of the Lord himself, the supreme rabbi, to the good scribe who asks in good faith, which is the great commandment. And the Lord goes further than giving the great commandment, but adds the other in juxtaposition and attached, therefore inseparable. It is similar to it. And the Lord, in this gospel, is expanding what later on he's going to give as the new commandment. He is making them inseparable. Therefore, if to defend the Lord, who is the Logos, the truth itself, we lose charity, we are not defending the truth, because we're not living it. We notice how the Lord never has need to raise his voice. It is true that he used his whole person to eject abuse from the temple. But normally, the power of truth was sufficient without added syllabic effects. Ce que tu as à dire, dis-le de toute ta vie, said the soon-to-be canonized Charles de Foucault. What you have to say it with all your life. Preach, and if necessary, use words, the old Franciscan maxim. There is, in the experience of the Spirit, this return to the strange moment of the shedding, the giving, the ignition. It was linked with speech. The Spirit gave them utterance, and it was tongues that appeared. Our words count. How many graces are not emitted and received by a hurried celebration of the sacred mysteries, even on a weekday, when the word could be opened, as was hinted at the time of the council. The word, even on a daily basis, should be explored. We have actually a blessing in our time which wasn't there for centuries. All over the globe we have the Christians reading the same passages on a daily basis and having access to commentaries, printed or on the cybersphere. It binds Christians together. In a pandemic, that could be exploited. We only have the word quite often left in solitude. But the word has life. However, we need to be aware that as we go through life, the effect of the word is in inverse proportion to its quantity. We need to reduce the number of words especially being emitted, so that they may be sharpened like arrows and have their full effect each time. Words are like leaves, and where they most abound, much depth of sense beneath is seldom to be found. La parola è legata con l'esperienza pentecostale, perché ha dato la potenza della parola agli apostoli, è apparsa in forma di lingue. La parola scritta della scrittura santa ha una forza sua e viene proclamata con questa stessa forza. A ginocchio, chiedendo a questo stesso spirito una parola, una anima può essere vivificata anche in solitudine, una parola che esce dalla pagina. Ma anche la comunicazione di questa parola va coltivata. Più si parla, meno si ascolta. È importante che la parola sia la parola giusta, non turbata da altre parole. La forza della parola è in proporzione inversa della sua quantità. Poche parole ben indirizzate hanno una forza esplosiva quando vengono da Dio.